Yo, what's good, everybody? My name is Cosmic, and I want to welcome you to my channel, Opinion Stated, where I give unfiltered, opinionated sports takes. Let's go. Yo, what's good, everybody? My name is Cosmic, and I want to welcome you to my channel, Opinion Stated, where I give unfiltered, opinionated sports takes. Let's go. Yo, what's good, everybody? My name is Cosmic. I want to welcome you back to my channel, Opinion Stated. And so I first want to talk about, again, how the free agency period kicked off with a Blockbuster 17 trade included the Phoenix Suns, the Houston Rockets, Brooklyn Nets, Golden State Warriors, Atlanta Hawks, the Lakers, and Minnesota to facilitate. And like I said, just a bunch of pieces and parts that were moved around. I'm going to dive into, what those look like in a little more detail as we go along here. But what I'm going to get into first and foremost, and most importantly, I feel like, is the Houston Rockets. And their letter grade, you can clearly see here on screen, is an A+. Um, every single summer, I'll just say this to underscore like a point that I feel like is incredibly valid, but it's also a thing that happens. It's the NBA off season. It's a lot of nothing happening during the off season. If you're a fan of ball, and you're just an extremist, and you're like, man, I'm taking in the summer league. I'm gonna look at some WNBA. I'm gonna look at whatever I can look at in terms of basketball, and you're clamoring for whatever kind of news you can get just to kind of, like excite you a little bit about the off season. Oftentimes during the off season as well, you get, this again, players moving, so you get this inkling of being like, yeah, there's this little excitement that says, yo, this player's on the move, that player's on the move, these players are teaming up. Like, what is the season going to look like, to kind of wet your whistle a little, right? Kevin Durant's been a part of a whole bunch of that here in the last 5 years, 5 to 6 years. From the moves from Brooklyn with the Achilles injury after, or rather, while in Golden State. So left Golden State for Brooklyn, then left Brooklyn for Phoenix, then left Phoenix for Houston. Now, as it brings us up to present speed. I can honestly say I have a bit of Kevin Durant fatigue, to be honest, as a fan. And again, it's because of that excitement always. It's like, man, Kevin's moved again. Yo, it's going to be better in this situation. This will be a better situation for Kevin. And while I'm excited enough to give the Houston Rockets an A+ in these offseason moves, while I can admit to the Kevin Durant fatigue, while I am going to talk excitedly about Kevin Durant, I do want to say, man, hopefully this is Kevin's last stop. You know what I'm saying? Like, respectfully, hopefully this is Kevin's last stop. I don't know what he's going to find in terms of success with his team, if it'll yield a championship, but that A+ definitely signifies the point that I want to drive home here, that Houston made a really good move here. In fact, as I was thinking about, and it's being, kind of kicked around about Kevin Durant leaving Phoenix and clearly needing to leave Phoenix, I think Phoenix obviously was very interested in possibly moving him, or potentially moving Kevin at the trade deadline. But Kevin didn't want to go to Golden State. He preferred, kind of preferred Miami a bit, but I don't think that they could really work out the deals, in a timely manner, being up against the gun of the trade deadline. And I was thinking, even beyond that, or past, that time, as a season, kind of wore on, and we got into the off season, I was thinking, man, Houston would be the ideal spot for him, given what they had, depending upon if Houston had to gut their team in order to bring him on. His contract is astronomical, the whole nine. As it stands with the present, 17 trade that was facilitated to get us to this point, Houston didn't have to gut their team at all. And so let's talk about, as I talk about them gutting their team, let's talk about what they did to actually sustain the team and keep the pieces in place. They were able to re-sign Steven Adams, who helps to anchor their middle off the bench from Albert Shangoon, filling in for him. Aaron Holiday, they were able to re-sign Jeff Green as well. Jabari Smith, they offered a 5-year extension off of his rookie contract. Jay Sean Tate, role player, they were able to re-sign, and they extended Fred Van Vliet's contract as well. So, you see that, from those moves that they were, again, able to just take care of the pieces that were already in place there that needed to be taken care of to assure that they were bringing back good, solid role players off the bench, good auxiliary players as well, to kind of help fill in. Emil Douglas done a tremendous job in Houston over the last 2 seasons to get them into a mode of functioning as a team. The one thing that I thought that they were missing, it felt like they were missing as we highlight them losing Jalen Green in this trade, was, Jalen Green just kind of faded to black in the postseason. And they really, really needed some additional scoring that they didn't, or couldn't get from anywhere else. And so that's where Kevin Durant comes into play here. Man, this dude's a walking bucket. Kevin just gets buckets in his sleep, clearly. So, Kevin Durant moves over here. They still have the benefit of the rest of the pieces, but it's not just about Kevin Durant coming over. It's also about Clint Capella rejoining the Houston Rockets. I was really upset as a bit of a Clint Capella fan a few years ago. Like, man, why'd they get rid of Clint? Like, it's really, you know what I mean? Like, I just felt like he fit really well with what they were doing in Houston. And especially even now that emails has come over, he still fits. And so I was happy to see him return this summer as well. Dorian Finney-Smith, they stole from the Lakers. Dorian Finney-Smith is a very gritty player, auxiliary, does the dirty work, blue collar, definitely high volume 3-point shooter and high percentage 3-point shooter. I won't say high volume as in he's shooting 7, 8 a game, but he's getting up a pretty significant amount or relative to the amount of threes that are being taken by players, but he shoots at a high percentage in the present era. So Dorian Finney-Smith is a really, really, really good steal for the Houston Rockets as well. He plays defense like crazy, so it fits that defensive identity of the Houston Rockets. Man, A+ all the way around the board. Let's get into what they will kind of look like, again, projected starter wise. We're talking Fred Van Vliet, potential as a starter. We're talking Amin Thompson, Kevin Durant, Jabari Smith, and Alperen Sengun as a potential starting lineup. I'm speaking of here. But of course, Reed Shepard coming off the bench, Dorian Finney-Smith, Tari Eason as well, and Steven Adams, plus the Jeff Green, Jay Sean Tate, moves that I was talking about before as well, or re-signings that I talked about, Aaron Holiday as well. So they're a very, very deep team, man. They're in Houston. So I'm excited about what's to come for Houston. Do I think that these moves make Houston incredibly competitive out west? Absolutely, I do. I think that the addition of Kevin Durant, again, one of the things that's often spoken about and kind of beat, as a kind of almost like kind of sounds cliche-ish. At some point it's just like, if the teams can stay healthy, you know what I mean? It's just like beat like a drum for everybody. Obviously, Kevin's health at this age is going to be very important, but no different than anybody's health. If Houston can stay healthy, I expect them to definitely make noise. Houston is so deep, I feel like, that with the exception of Kevin Durant, they have pieces that can just slide into place in the event that kind of nagging injuries come into play, and you just have to give it some time for some of these folks to nurse themselves back to health. But Houston, man, I think that this definitely makes Houston a contender, a title contender, not just a contender to win the West. The East is going to be incredibly banged up. It's going to be a toss up in terms of how or who makes it out of the East. Still, because you have the top teams are still the top teams in terms of New York and I'll say Cleveland. which I'll dig into a little bit more here coming up. But I think that Houston is definitely built to contend with a Oklahoma City team and whomever else throughout in the summer, West, man. That's been the basis of this episode. I just wanted to go through, these teams. I didn't talk about every team, like I said, man. So let me know if you agree. Share your opinion and comment. Also, like the video if you haven't done so as well. Man, I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Until then, take care of yourselves. Blessings.